everybody. So we are back for our last week of fractions. By the end of this week, we're going to be completely finished. Today and tomorrow, we're going to talk about comparing fractions. On Thursday, we're going to do your study guide, and then on Friday, you'll have your fraction test. What do you think? Do you feel like a fraction expert? All right, let's practice a little more. So if you don't have your workbook, I want you to pause the video and go grab it. And we're going to be on page 613. If you have your workbook, go ahead and open to that page and we'll get started. Okay, so lesson 8 is about comparing fractions. And when you compare something, that means that you look at them and you figure out how they can be analyzed, I guess. What's bigger, what's smaller, kind of in that way. So we have two different ways that we can compare fractions. Okay, and the first way is going to be the easier way, okay? And it is by using unit fractions. Okay, so let's look at example 1. AJ has 3/6 of his homework done. Yuki finished 4/6 of hers. Who has finished a greater part of their homework? So the fractions that we're looking at are 3/6 and 4/6. Now, anytime that you're comparing fractions that have the same denominator, so that means our whole is divided into the same amount of parts, it's really easy. You just look at your numerator. So if we want to know who has a greater part finished, what number is greater, 3 or 4? Right, 4. Okay, so I already know 4/6 is going to be my greater fraction. I can think of it in terms of unit fractions. So here, these little rectangles represent their homework. They're divided into 6 parts. AJ finished 3 of them. Yuki finished 4 of them. Who finished more? Still Yuki, right. We can also map them on a number line, okay? This is a perfect example of a number line. So I drew my number line, divided it into 6 parts, and let's see, AJ finished 3/6, so I'll put a dot there. Yuki finished 4/6. Who's farther down on my number line? 4/6, still Yuki, okay? So, if we look at that, it says 4/6 is closer to 1 whole. So we can determine 4/6 is greater than 3/6, okay? So Yuki finished more of her homework. Now, remember, this method only works on unit fractions when your denominators are the same. So what if I have 3/8 and 7/8? Which fraction is less? Right, it would be 3/8. Okay, because my denominators are the same, but 3 parts of 8 is less than 7 parts of 8. Okay, so that first way, pretty easy, right? The second way is a smidgen trickier. Whoops. There we go. Okay, so let's turn the page and look at example 2. Example 2 says, Camille and Peter were reading a book. Camille read 1/4 of the book, while Peter read 1/3 of the same book. Who read a greater part of the book? So now we're talking about the fractions 1/4 and 1/3, okay? So one way that you can look at this is by representing it with a picture, okay? The only thing about representing it with a picture is if you don't draw it exactly right, then your picture is going to be off, okay? So look at this rectangle. It's divided into 4 parts, and one of them is shaded because that's how much Camille read. This rectangle, the same rectangle, remember it's representing a book, is divided into 3 parts, and one of them is shaded because Peter read 1/3. Which one of those is greater? Right, 1/3. 1/3 1/3 is greater than 1/4. Peter read more of the book. Now, that always confuses kids. They think that the bigger the number, the bigger the fraction, but that's wrong, okay? Think of it as like a pizza. If I divided a pizza into thirds and another pizza into fourths, and you're really hungry, are you going to want a fourth of a piece of pizza or a third? Yeah, you're going to want a third because it's bigger, right? Okay, so if we look right here, 1/3 is closer to the whole, okay? So 1/3 is greater than 1/4, or we can write it with our symbol, okay? But I want to show you another way to look at that. It's not always going to be easy to draw a picture like that, okay? So another way that we have to compare fractions is called the butterfly. I don't think it's actually called that, but that's what I call it in my head. And you'll see why in just a second. So let's say that I have two fractions and the denominators are not the same. Let's say I have 2/3 and 3/4, okay? And I want to know what's going to go in the middle. Is 2/3 greater than or less than 3/4? So we could draw a picture, but remember I said sometimes it's difficult to get your rectangles exactly right. So this is where we use something called the butterfly. And when we use the butterfly, we take this bottom number and match it up to this. And we draw an oval around them, okay? Then I'm going to do the same thing with this one. And now we multiply. What's 3 times 3? 9. What's 4 times 2? 8. Okay? So see how it looks like a butterfly? There's my wings flapping. Okay? I do 3 times 3 and put my 9 right here. 4 times 2, I put my 8 right there. What number is greater? Is it 8 or 9? Right, 9. So I'm going to put my symbol, remember if it was an alligator mouth, it would be eating the 9. And then I would read this as 2/3 is less than 3/4. Okay? And I know that because I did my butterfly and my multiplication to figure it out. Let's try another one of those. Guys, I know I've been saying how important it is to learn your multiplication facts. When you picked up your second packet of like your reading book and stuff, you had your multiplication fact cards in there. Some friends have already passed their 2s and their 3s. So it's so important that you're practicing that, okay? If you don't know your multiplication facts, this will be tougher. Okay, let's say that I have the fraction 1/8 and 3/6. Okay, so I want to know what's greater, 1/8 or 3/6. Okay, so first I need to draw my butterfly. Okay, I connect my opposite. I'm making a diagonal. And then I connect this side. Okay, now can you see how it kind of looks like a butterfly? Like the wings? Okay, now we multiply. What's 8 times 3? It's 24. Oops. And then what's 6 times 1? 6. Because anything times 1 is just that number. So what's greater, 6 or 24? Yeah, 24 is greater by like a lot. So I would draw my symbol, and then I would read it as 1/8 is less than 3/6. What do you think? Are you catching on? Let's try one more. Okay, what if I have 5/8? And I want to know, is it greater than, less than, or equal to 2/6? All right, what's the first thing that I need to do? Right, let's draw my butterfly. Okay, there's my first one. There's my second one. What is 8 times 2? You can think of that as 8 plus 8. Yeah, it's 16. What's 5 times 6? 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. It's 30. What's greater, 30 or 16? Definitely 30. So I'm going to draw my symbol, and I would read this one as 5/8 is greater than 2/6. So what do you think? Butterfly method making sense? We're going to practice it today and tomorrow, okay? What you are going to do now is head back to your workbook. You're going to complete number 1 at the bottom of page 614 and all of page 615.